This video is going to be a film study look at Bijan Robinson's first NFL experience, first possession against the Cincinnati Bengals in week 2 of the preseason. Really cool. We got to see some of the talent, the ability to catch the ball. I mean, his one-handed catch behind him was unbelievable. The cut ability, his ability to burst almost like in and out of cuts, which doesn't make sense on some level. And then also, too, Bijan Robinson and the Atlanta Falcons got to go up against a high-level defense in the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, that first drive ended up being a 20-play drive, finished or completed with no score, unfortunately, for the Falcons. Joseph Asai was able to get an interception off a deflection, but it gave you a lot of looks at what the Bengals are going to do defensively. And being a Ravens fan, you know, I try to save that film and categorize it so I have some idea of what the Bengals are doing against a super talented running back like Bijan Robinson and all the weapons that the Falcons have. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and others. Let's take a look at the film here. Bijan Robinson is going to be in the backfield. This is going to be an unbelievable run in terms of how quick and decisive he is. Bengals are one of those teams that pride themselves in a too-high look on being able to stop or slow down the run, I guess I should say. And check out the cuts. Once they scoop. The O-line scoops the backside D-tackle, and then the backside D-end or outside linebacker, Trey Hendrickson, you know, he's got the potential for a boot by the quarterback, so he can't just take off running down the line of scrimmage. I mean, I guess he can, and he might get a TFL, or he might give the quarterback the edge. But the speed that he's making these cuts, one of them is even almost off one leg, and what I mean by that is like he almost resets himself right here in the middle of it. It appears to me, maybe a half step before this, he was thinking about taking this thing here and then brings it back, crosses the face of this defender, you know, who really almost whiffs on it. You'll get the end zone angle. I'm sure you've seen it by now. I did a YouTube short on it. If you're a Falcons fan, feel free to check it out. I'll try to link it up in the description. Same play, end zone angle. I mean, look at the front that they're in. It's a too high safety look, but you've got a 3, maybe a 4-eye there, but I would say it's wide 3, and they're going to scoop this guy, 95, and then he's going to inside release 91, Hendrickson. You know, he's put in a bind. He can't just run down the line of scrimmage if it's quarterback boot. He can't just take off to the quarterback to destroy the boot because then the cutback will be there for Bijan Robinson. They really scoop 95, do a great job with the O-line. Everybody's going to talk about Bijan Robinson, and they should, but the O-line did a great job there running it to the weak side. Inserting the fullback allowed them to have numbers-wise to be able to be effective with this against a 7-man front. Fullback finally does get up to the linebacker, and that move right there is the one that everybody's talking about. Middle of the burst here, able to put his foot in the ground, and I mean, the guy did touch him, but it's a super impressive cut. Bijan Robinson, you can see the reason why he was drafted so high. Bengals are going to do a lot of shifting and moving here when the Falcons put 3 tight ends into the boundary. Finally get themselves settled on their 8-man front. And you get unblocked CTB, Cam Taylor-Britt, and 55, Logan Wilson is also unblocked. Short gain for Bijan Robinson. Like I said, kind of introduces him to the way things are going to be against these super high-level defense. But I love how committed he is. Like, he's making his cut off of Wilson, and then I'll make my cut off the next guy when I need to. In this case, Wilson's able to get just enough of a piece of him to square him up for CTB, who's a really excellent run defender, if you ask me. I think he's always filled downhill, you know, for the Bengals last year, and now this year it looks like he'll do the same. Stretch play out to the outside. These guys that play inside linebacker for the Bengals are severely underrated. Pratt and Wilson. Wilson even kind of like takes a step back, like he thinks this might be pass for a moment. And then he's able to fill at the correct angle, get to the outside arm of the running back, and then let the backside inside linebacker 57 fill and finish. I think it's a 4-yard gain. Same play, end zone angle, or all 22 angle. It's a stretch concept to the field out of 12 personnel. This is what the Falcons are going to do. Pistol, under center, they're going to run the ball at Robinson, use the play action concepts to set up things for their playmakers, and I think it's going to work. I mean, they were a pain to deal with last year when they came to Baltimore. As a Ravens fan, their offense was impressive, and Drake London had a great day. I think 7 catches for like 92 or 93 yards. I think this is going to be the screen. Play action fake to Robinson. He's moving up to the boundary. And I mean, I think I give you the end zone angle of this catch. People talk about him, you know, being a weapon. Look, there's been dozens 100 of running backs who were weapons in the pass game. I'm old enough to remember Thurman Thomas and some of the guys like that that got the football a ton on screens, out into the flats, designed pass routes. Bijan Robinson, to me, like, he's going to be a guy, I could see him having 60 catches, no problem. But the only issue with him getting to a number like that in terms of total catches is the other weapons that they have. Pitts, London, guys that need to get to football and should get to football because of their talent level. He'll be used expertly, man. Arthur Smith is one of those guys dating back to his time in Tennessee that he's going to put you in conflict with the formation. He's going to put you in conflict with running multiple plays from the same formation, not letting the defense hedge their bets in terms of trying to stop a play to one side or the other. This is the same play from the end zone angle. I'll pause it so you get a little bit of a better idea of the catch that he makes off the back shoulder. There's the play fake. I mean, catching it, he's trying to settle in this area to catch the football. He certainly wasn't trying to run out here and get ahead of his blockers. So the quarterback knows where he's trying to deliver the football. Maybe this ball is delivered, 2 feet to one side or the other from where you would like it, or maybe Bijan Robinson was needed to settle down a little bit earlier and gear down. But sometimes when you get these screens that are designed like this, guys are supposed to run through a gap, run to a certain place, and they have to adjust on the fly. And that can kind of change their footwork. In this case, you got Asai working his way upfield, so Robinson's path is a little more like a letter L instead of like a letter J, if that makes sense. Great catch nonetheless, and then makes a guy miss along the sideline. He didn't get a score, and neither did the Falcons on this drive, but I thought you just giving the NFL and giving NFL fans a taste of what he's capable of doing in terms of making people miss. My comparison, and I'm not a huge comparison guy, he kind of reminds me of Saquon Barkley with his ability to make people miss in short space and almost in the middle of his move, the move that he was planning on making, the move that he was planning to do. He can kind of like half step it and then get into his next move. I would almost compare it. I'll give you 2 comparisons for it. I would almost compare it to like an edge rusher who starts to run one move and the offensive tackle adjusts in a certain way, whatever his intended technique was, and the edge rusher is able to adjust into his secondary move in the middle of the play. Or my other comparison, and one that I try to use all the time, is like a boxer or an MMA fighter who's in the middle of a particular strike, sees the guy bob or weave or duck his head in a particular way, and is able to adjust his strike, really thinking of like kicks that turn into knees. So like a high kick that a guy turns into a knee because someone shoots for a shot. Maybe those comparisons don't work for you, but Bijan Robinson looks like a guy who, in the middle of the cut that he's intending to do, he can read the defender and burst into a secondary cut that he didn't have any intention of doing, 3/8 of a second prior to that. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. Super impressive. I'm not a Falcons fan, but watching their offense last year as a Ravens fan, first of all, they threaten you in multiple ways with the same play concept. And Bijan Robinson is just going to supplement that and really take it up 2 or 3 levels. If you are a Falcons fan and you haven't considered doing so, please consider subscribing to my channel. I try to do content for multiple NFL teams during the week, but generally stick to the Ravens and some Lions content. If you think other Falcons fans or NFL fans in general would enjoy this content, please consider grabbing a link to it, sharing it somewhere on social media to help this content get more reach.